Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 with D-Days. Great mod. Okay, we're going to continue this right now. We built up a bunch of units here. A lot of them are garrison units that I'm now sending out to the Philippines and places. Okay, now we just hit that, and what I want to do is move to partial mobilization. Really, mobilization is better than civil economy, but not as good as partial, so we're going to do that. I think that's even more important than getting these guys, or even a possibly good political advisor. So we'll do that. And I'm hoping with that it will significantly help our production, because it mostly just moves. Oh, German interest in Scandinavia. I thought we already knew that. Nope. Germany's declaring more on more people in crazy ways. And Denmark in crazy ways. Oh, nationalist Spain joins the Axis. Well, that's interesting now. We'll see if and when Spain comes in. It may save this French campaign if Spain gets in here and attacks the rear end of France. Okay, improved computing machine. The IBM machines are out there. Man, there's so much I want to do for modding this. Right now, sort of looking for maybe we got bonus as well. Got about a year, a little more, year and a half before we're in. Now what? Okay, we're doing Arsenal Democracy, Liberty ships, Manhattan Project, which we're not going to start on until later. Fargo in Japan. Okay, well, I think I don't see good bonuses for more ship producing real soon. Let's do some of those. Well, heavy cruisers are nice, and we will. That's still a little far away, the midway class. Butchers are good destroyers. At least that's what I think of them. Well, yeah, let's go with the Fletcher. Fall of Gibraltar. Ooh, so Spain is now in the war itself, and they've taken out Gibraltar. carving into North African, French North Africa, I guess. Okay, well, that's definitely relieve pressure on Italy here. So I'm just gathering here, that France does have a line of troops along the border. Nothing, because probably Spain's probably not so great quality, and if they don't have a lot, they'll just sit there, stare at each other with the, the mountains in the way. Okay, Arsenal of Democracy. And all kinds of things are getting better now. No, okay. Let's see now. Liberty ships, evasion speed, that's nice. Tactical bomber research, that's good. Oh. We can issue war bonds, that will be very nice. Any other stuff appearing out because world tension has gotten high and or other conditions. So we will do war bonds, which removes the Great Depression, which is something we very much want to do. Now, I know if you've been watching the series or other things, I've ranted about how much I think FDR is responsible for making the Depression great instead of just having a depression. Well, we need to shoot, and that was just, I think, at the end of that line. So we want to upgrade, okay, cancel, close that, because we got, you don't, yeah, carrier, so we want to increase carrier production, get that going. Well, let's also get going towed anti-aircraft a little bit. And for ships, okay. There. We also need more chromium, so increase production, more chromium. Denmark has capitulated. Well, okay, good. Not unexpected. Germany can react there. Germany, if German AI can do a decent invasion of Norway, I'll be reasonably happy. Trotsky survives his assassination attempt, alright. But notice they've sort of gone through here rather rapidly since Spain declared war, so I'm guessing the reason is that they either entirely left Maginot unprotected or removed enough troops so that it was effectively not defended. Now what's Japan doing? Oh. Well, maybe once they get down to the Korean peninsula part here, they'll be able to hold out. Now, we need more civil factories. Why? Well, to build more factories, but also to deal with trade elements. So we're going to do that. One tech that I've neglected and I will need to do is start catching up on that more synthetic rubber than synthetic oil. Once Japan sort of takes the ability to trade for it away from most of it, we will want to be able to produce it ourselves. Naval bombers. I really like naval bombers. Building a few air bases out here. Well, there may be a few more by some national focuses. So I'm hoping to cover this area with lots of naval bombers to make Japan a little less adventuresome. Well, now the Spanish have been able to move off their frontier. That means maybe the French decided to rush back to defend Paris or something. Okay, we have destroyers. Let's yeah, light cruisers. Well, let's just get that producing. And support weapons, so. And since we were just talking about it, let's go over here, start synthetic oil production. Which they got a lot of that, some of that technology from, oh, the Germans somehow are, oh, they probably gave the territory, I don't know. But they got a lot of that synthetic oil, or synthetic rubber from the Germans. The US did, before the war, the technology. Well, we could start on nukes, but I don't know. I have higher priorities, I guess. Get some better bombers built. No, now it's turned back to Spain's hands. Oh, and they've linked up. Well, Italy's lost all of Ethiopia. Italy's not doing so well this compared to Spain. Okay, Paris falls. France has capitulated. Legionary Bulgaria joins the Axis. Okay, issue war bonds. So we are doing that, and that Italy claims... State police claims Greek territory. Okay. The Tizard mission. The British government has sent us a scientific delegation led by Henry Tizard with an interesting proposal. The British are willing to pool their research efforts with ours in several key areas, as they do not have the industrial capacity to produce their inventions in great enough numbers. Yes, because we're going to eventually become their allies, so we'll get some bunch of radar research and some fighter models improved, okay? Very good. And we also need to wartime industry. I think we want to do that. Oh, we'll get Rubber Reserve Company. Oh, good. In a while. And we have civilian factories for producing some more, but let's see about other. See, now that we're really roaring to life, we're going to have the ability to produce all kinds of things. Put the meter there. There we go, that'll help our defense capabilities. And no, we didn't do it to France just because I didn't think we needed to so much. But let's start with Britain, and we should have done it earlier with Britain. And make sure we get some of that. Well, let's see if we give them actual 10 of those a month. There we go. We can keep Britain. I just thought these guys would have fallen by now anyway, so. Of course, we're now getting a lot more political power because we're no longer suffering from the Great Depression effects. Guess they're not going to do Vichy. Okay, improved radar. Rudolph Hess dies in this version in his mission. Okay, now we have those bonuses there. need even more chromium. Sort of works as a kind of a lend-lease. And we also need some more rubber, so we'll get that one finished as well. Help them out. There we go. Okay, well. Once America gets going. There we go, producing military factories. And since we'll put some of those overseas. And Fletcher class. So, since we have the Fletcher class, let's finish this one and then we will add some Fletchers to the production. Let's upgrade here too as well. Okay, now these guys, garrison divisions have arrived, so we will garrison some important parts here. Yeah, they may come in and overrun them still, but oh well. I know concentrated effort would mean potentially greater survivable chance, but that doesn't mean we're not going to send in more units. But at the moment, I'm not, you know, oh well, Japan is sort of breaking back out maybe a bit. But they're just not going to have a lot of forces if they're, you know, to invade infantry-wise if they're tied up fighting the Chinese heavily. Integrated support, that is nice. Okay, has assault gun. Tank destroyer. Guess that's what that's supposed to be. Medium, enabled medium assault gun. Guess it's a heavy armored SP. Now that was what the U.S. did for it's called an SPG-2, but because there really wasn't anything. The U.S. Started out with mobile artillery on the backs of these things like this, but with a, you know, a proper artillery piece. Worked out fair at best, but as they were, you know, this was an entirely an emergency vehicle. Little story about the history of this. I hope you like it. The British are fighting the Germans in North Africa because they quickly lost, of course, in France. and they wanted more tanks, but the German tanks armor was getting more and more, and they realized the light gun of the 37 millimeter, which is here and here, you know, the little gun up here, just wasn't going to last long, wasn't going to cut it. Obviously a good 37 millimeter round, and the US did have, not all 37s are the same. You have the old FT-17 with a very low pressure gun putting out a really small charge. I don't even know if how well it would penetrate another FT-17. But then you have a higher velocity round coming out of a gun like the Germans did with their 37 millimeter guns. You know, their PaK-36s, anti-tank guns, or the Panzer IIIs had 37 millimeter guns. British also had very similar. I don't know. They used their pounder gun system, and I don't exactly know the millimeters, but right around this caliber. Realized that this wasn't going to be enough very far into the future. It could still, depending on what Panzer III you're shooting at, or early Panzer IV, because they both had basically the same thickness of armor, you could penetrate it with a 37 millimeter gun, but they're being up-armored, and the British know this. The British call the long-barreled Panzer IIIs specials, because they very early ones were quickly sent down to Italy, or well, to Italy's war here in Libya, and so they called them specials, but they were obviously standard new models, but they were upgrading to the 50 millimeter guns. And so they realized this wasn't going to be very long lasting, so they want to buy tanks from America. Well, the British are relatively smart people, I would say, and they know the best, you know, tank. You don't do assault guns if you can help it. You don't do, you know, hull-mounted guns. It's so much better to put them in a turret. But the U.S. literally had no manufacturing ability to make a turret big enough to hold a 75 millimeter gun at the time. So this was just a bit of a problem. And it was a casting situation, because they cast those turrets. They couldn't cast a large enough one with a proper turret ring to do this. So this is what they came up with to meet the British requirements very early on, and he's properly labeled this as a Lee. Also at this time, until the Sherman came out, this should be what, an M2 or M4 or whatever, the sort of the proto models of these, that has a 37 millimeter gun with lots of machine guns. Americans were big on machine guns at this time. They festooned their tanks with machine guns. This tank had the 37 millimeter gun with a coaxial 30 caliber machine gun. It had up here a commander's turret that was unpowered. It was a really small little turret. It actually sort of worked rather well, but the British didn't like it because it made the tank really tall. So it just, you know, you talk about hull down or turret down, this is just becoming monstrously high, but the turret works rather well. When the British, for their grants, they had a turret bustle thing put in back here, a extended turret around the rear more, so that they could put a radio in it, so the commander could use the radio. And they left the little mini turret ring in it, but got rid of the turret there, and then just had a vision block that moved around so that the commander could be under armor and look out through a periscopic vision block. But so they had a machine gun up here, they had a coaxial machine gun, and then they had two machine guns mounted in the hull on the other side of the 75 millimeter gun. The earlier ones did that. You could only, you know, move them up and down. You couldn't move them right to left. You had to move the whole tank. So you had a machine gunner there. They had, let's see, a driver, a gunner and loader for the 75, a commander and gunner for the and a loader, I think, for the 37. So that's 6 guys. And then they had the forward machine gunner radio operator. So I think they had 7 guys in an early Lee. They eventually get rid of the machine gunner radio operator and sort of delegate the duties around a little bit differently. And they get down to, I think it's like 6 guys later on. They get down to 6 guys, but it starts out with 7 guys in that tank. Lots of machine guns. The early M3 Stuarts, they had the little anti-aircraft type machine gun up top. They had a coaxial 30 caliber machine gun. And on either side of the hull, they had fixed 30 caliber machine guns, so that the driver would sort of, point the tank and you could fire the machine guns. Those disappeared after a while as well. They really liked just putting machine guns. The infantry tank had, the 37 millimeter gun and basically a Stuart-like, somewhat between these two type turrets. Little turret with a coaxial gun there. 2 strange sort of anti-aircraft machine guns that I don't know how they exactly work well. Just can't figure out how do you load and feed the belts in them the way they were at, so I don't quite understand it. And then on the hull below the turret, they had sponsons all the way around it, sort of on the 4 corners. 4 machine guns. You can see it in War Thunder if you play that game, how all those machine guns. So the Americans in this period, in the 30s, really loved machine guns, wanted to put machine guns everywhere around the vehicles as much as they could. By the time they get to the Shermans, they're seeing what's going on with the Lees and the Grants, and they realize, yep, we need a coaxial machine gun. Yep, there's space in the hull, / it is useful, / you have the radio operator who's often has not a whole lot of other things to do. Put a machine gun down there, that works. And then depending on some of the models, a 50 caliber machine gun, though I think you often had to get out of the turret to be able to operate the 50, depending on what model and things. So they got sensible eventually, but early on it didn't work out very well. So what happens so they're making the Lee, they change it to the Grant with the turret bustle, and without this, for the British, basically the Americans, later models I think mostly use Grants for after a while, but they stopped using them. The rest lend-leased out to places like China, or they continued to send some to the British. The British really liked, for an emergency stopgap tank, they really liked the Grants. Late war, the British obviously don't want to keep using something that doesn't have very much armor on it compared to later, newer models, bigger, but they're still useful. So they're sending them to like Burma and other places that you don't need, top of the line armor. So they continue using them, but they stop production at some point, fairly early on, once you sort of get the Shermans relatively into production. But they changed the hulls basically to create the Priest, which has a 105 millimeter howitzer in it, which is the self-propelled gun here, and the reason they call it the Priest is because on the sort of the opposite side of where the gun is, it's a little off center, they have a sort of a cupola isn't the right term, but a armored round pulpit looking thing that they mount a 50 caliber in for local defense. And it's sort of like someone is up there in a pulpit being a preacher, so they called it the Priest. So that's sort of the history of the Lee Grant Priest, and basically it stays in production until the end of the war as the Priest, and with its 105. Well, the French are pushing the Spanish back. Greece joins the Allies. Okay, Italy declared war on that. That's through a national focus. And we have more factories, so Who else should we send Lend-Lease to? To France? Yeah, let's send some to France. Should have maybe earlier, like I just sort of thought they'd die, but seeing that they're still fighting in North Africa effectively, I thought they were just going to flip over to being Vichy. And what's the point then? You fight for a month or so and then you go become Vichy. But if they're still going to be in the war, let's give them some equipment. So hopefully they'll be able to man some units. I probably should give them some support equipment to the English as well. I don't know if their units would use that, but let's see about that. And for here, well, I'll just give them 20 a month. We need to up the production numbers there, and that seems good. Hopefully that will be useful to France. Well, Norway's still in the... these guys, well, they're still in the fight somehow, but... yeah, let's give them, because they're still in the fight. And... maybe they'll... be useful if they lose here or down in holding Indonesia and whatnot. That looks good. Let's also Lend-Lease to our friends up here, so no, we don't do that. Let's just and let's give them 10 fighters a month. We're gonna have to up our fighter production. And because they've got a coastline that may do okay with that. Trying to keep them well, I don't know if Belgium is worth trying to give them anything, but they're holding on. So yeah, let's do that too. Yeah, I should have done it earlier, but whatever. Okay, that's something there. Okay, wartime industry, we have that, that's good. Let's see, we can do the rubber. Yeah, we want to do the rubber. Yeah, let's just... yeah. Let's get the rubber command. And since we're giving so many away, let's max out on aircraft production. And even though we have that rubber coming, let's increase our rubber. Well, we're going to end the episode here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I do appreciate that. And if you're playing some of my mods on Steam, I would appreciate them. If you haven't already, go give them the thumbs up. You know, there to upvote them to help get their visibility up there. I really do appreciate that. Thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.